In the world of intelligence, the biggest threats are often the ones you cannot see, not because they are cloaked, but because they are moving too fast for the human eye and conventional film to capture clearly. This is the central dilemma of Project SKYLINE, the DIA and NRO assessment of the flying rods. These were not massive, slow-moving black triangles. These were thin, cylindrical, often segmented objects that appeared primarily on high-speed military and scientific test footage around the world, flying at calculated velocities that defied terrestrial biology and conventional aerodynamics. The core question of Project SKYLINE was forensic. Is this a cryptid that utilizes hypervelocity travel, or is it merely an artifact of the photographic process, a trick of motion blur if you're a photographer? Today, using the technical analysis found in CIA RDP 83, the NRO series, we undertake the investigation into a phenomenon that only exists in fractions of a second. The rods were initially dismissed as birds, insects, or technical glitches. However, persistent capture across multiple separate, highly reliable camera systems, including high-altitude reconnaissance and missile test film, forced the NRO to open a dedicated file. The rods shared a specific signature, a cylindrical segmented body often seen rotating along its axis while moving forward. The estimated size varied greatly based on distance, but the calculated velocity was terrifying. An early NRO internal analysis detailed the forensic problem. Quote, the geometric integrity of the segmented body structure is maintained across multiple high-speed frames, refuting the hypothesis of simple non-structured motion blur from conventional sources. The phenomenon is a solid three-dimensional object, end quote. This quote confirmed the rods were not film artifacts. They were real. Analysts spent years trying to fit the rods into the conventional box of insects, but the calculated velocity data made this impossible. Based on frame rates, altitude, and apparent size, the rods were consistently moving through the atmosphere at a speed exceeding 100 miles per hour, often much faster, without the visible propulsion or flight dynamics of any known bird or insect. Furthermore, the segmentation along the body, initially interpreted as wing flaps, appeared too regular and too uniform for biological locomotion. A forensic analysis memo in the CIA RDP 83 NRO series definitively ruled out known biology, saying, quote, velocity calculations based on documented frame rate and trajectory vectors consistently place the entity's speed well outside the parameters for known terrestrial biology. If the object is biological, it possesses a unique, highly advanced, and previously undocumented propulsion or plasma-enhanced locomotion system. End quote. Project SKYLINE ultimately settled on two competing non-conventional hypotheses. Hypothesis number one, hypervelocity biological cryptid. Could the rods be massive unknown biological entities, a form of aerial or unique insect that thrives on high altitude, high velocity travel? The segmentation could be an external shell structure designed to withstand the stress of hypervelocity flight. The rotational movement might generate lift or localized plasma field to reduce the atmospheric drag. The intelligence implications of this were immense, a profound failure of zoology and taxonomy in one environment we thought we had mastered. A DIA biological assessment acknowledged the bizarre possibility, quote, the segmentation pattern is structurally consistent with the hyper exoskeleton designed for high Mach atmospheric entry or transit. If organic, the energy requirements suggest a unique plasma-based physiological mechanism for thrust generation. End quote. Hypothesis number two, micro-reconnaissance drone. The more conventional, but still terrifying, hypothesis was that the rods were advanced miniature reconnaissance drones deployed by a hostile foreign power or an unconventional intelligence. Their high speed and small cross-section made them impossible to track via conventional radar or optical tracking. If they were mechanical, they represented the ideal intelligence gathering tool, everywhere non-attributable and invisible to traditional air defense. A NRO operational assessment concluded the high strategic value, saying, quote, the flying rods exhibit the optimal characteristics for an undetectable, non-conventional micro-reconnaissance platform. Their observed velocity and small size provide a comprehensive sensor blindness advantage over all current U.S. and NATO air defense grids. End quote. The most critical operational impact of Project SKYLINE was the confirmation of sensor blindness. The rods proved that high-speed, small targets could effectively bypass the entire air defense architecture. The intelligence community could not identify who was deploying the rods, but they knew that the threat of microscopic hypervelocity surveillance was real. The project shifted naval and air defense funding toward developing exotic high-speed optical tracking systems capable of capturing the phenomenon. Project SKYLINE is the ultimate testament to forensic intelligence, a project dedicated entirely to identifying an object that appeared for mere milliseconds on film. It proved that the fastest things in the sky were the smallest, and that the ultimate battlefield is the one we cannot see. We've covered the hypervelocity of the modern era, and now we dive back to the beginning of the UAP cryptid phenomenon in America. Our next episode involves a chilling, dramatic case where a massive creature, a blinding light, and an entire town's police force converged in one night. Next time we are pivoting to a dramatic, well-documented historical crisis, Project Frontier Flash, the DIA and FBI historical assessment of the Van Meter visitor incident of 1903 in Iowa. Yes, this predates the CIA. We will analyze the military and federal intelligence reports that tracked the immense winged creature reported to have a blinding light source embedded in its forehead and its operational link to early UAP hysteria. We'll use the CIA RPD 65 historical memos to assess the core question: was this creature an early mechanical reconnaissance vehicle using biological camouflage, or a bizarre technological cryptid that set the stage for Mothman decades later? Another CIA quote on this topic: the flying rods phenomenon is categorized as an unidentified hypervelocity platform, a UHVP. Due to the demonstrated complexity of its segmentation and velocity, attribution to the source is valid. The platform represents an unconventional aerial reconnaissance capability, currently surpassing all known terrestrial designs, end quote. The documented truth of Project SKYLINE is undeniable, and if this technical journey has captured your focus, then your support for the channel is appreciated as we dive back to the turn of the century in our next episode. I'll see you in the archives.